Stop categorizing them as separate from the Philippines. These are the first Filipinos.
Sa mga lumad ngayon, umalis kayo dyan. Bubumbahan ko yan.
Dahil sila ay hindi naiiba sa atin. Sila ay mga Pilipino rin na may pangarap, dignidad at kakayahang iangat ang kanilang sarili, ang kanilang kapwa at ang ating bayan.
What we commonly know about our indigenous peoples and indigenous cultural communities, we know through the limited coverage of popular news and media outlets. Behind the accustomed differences in clothing, culture, and claims, the 10 to 20% of the national population IPs embody tend to be grouped under a single category according to geographical areas. Ignoring the rich ethno-linguistic diversity, culture and heritage, breadth of information, and the whole sector's worth of insights and potential contributions existing across the country.
The Philippines is home to 110 indigenous groups with diverse customs, history, indigenous knowledge, and skills. Land is closely linked to their identity and survival. Their spiritual, economic, and socio-cultural life are strongly rooted in their ancestral domain. Despite the abundance of natural resources, their ownership and control over these lands are often not recognized. IPs in the Philippines experience a high rate of vulnerable employment, and many are still excluded from the country's overall development.
IP's historical and socio-political differentiation has also pulled them away from a decent life. To live as an IP is to live with struggle, with poverty from resources, opportunities and choice, power and voice, and human security, with relentless clamor for rightful recognition. Salient markers of poverty among IPs include state neglect and denial in providing access to basic needs such as public health services, education, and sustainable livelihood opportunities, extremely lacking representation in official decision-making structures, and public data, hence a limited role in social transformation, and increasing vulnerabilities to corporate capture or basic social services provided by corporations.
Sobrang hirap talaga. Andun yung discrimination, may crisis, gano'n, walang trabaho, tapos yung hanap buhay, pangabuhayan, medyo limited lang.
Hindi masyadong angat yung pamumuhay doon sa amin. Pag IP ka, wala yan. Wala yung kakayahang umangat sa buhay.
Hindi pa sila masyadong aware kung ano ba ang kanilang basic rights, particularly on ancestral domain.
Because much of IP's lives and livelihood are tethered to their ancestral land, much of their poverty stems from the forceful tugs, pulls, and grabs at the one multifaceted plot they are protecting. Their ancestral land has continuously been laden and tainted with blood over time. The space they inhabit is a life in itself. Defending their domain alongside their natural resources seems to come at a price: the inability to escape poverty.
These images taken in 2014 show private security firing on Lumads in North Mindanao. In an even more notorious incident in 2015, a Lumad village head was executed in front of his entire community.
Their struggles against development aggression, which leads to loss of ancestral land, self-determination, and environmental destruction, are met with harassment and human rights violations, including political killings. The vulnerabilities of their sector make capitalist authorities and corporations more enticed to venture into disruptive development projects such as dams, irrigation projects, integrated forest management, and community-based forest management activities, contract reforestation projects, logging, mining, energy projects, and school reservations.
The Philippines has now surpassed Indonesia as the country with the highest number of COVID-19 cases in South Asia.
The call of different groups.
President Rodrigo Duterte says the government has heard their pleas and is doing all it can to curb the spread of the virus. But he also lashed out at doctors and nurses for airing their grievances, accusing them of agitating for a revolution.
For a highly underprivileged and vulnerable sector such as the IPs, a global health crisis such as the COVID-19 pandemic only ruptures the convoluted intersections they find themselves in, and reveals who actually gets to live or die under the current administration. Access to healthcare services and information necessary to mitigate the crisis continues to become an issue for IPs, exposing the fragility of national and local health systems. For most, they even fear dying of starvation more than the virus itself. With the Duterte administration's militarized response to the growing outbreak, mobility and transportation from places were restricted to supposedly contain the virus. But these iron-fisted protocols became a major deterrent to already scarce livelihood opportunities. This trembling lack of security also carries over to their social protection, with rampant threats of red tagging, attacks, unwarranted detention, and brutal killings to silence their dissent from the continuation of mining operations, other environmentally destructive development initiatives from the Build, Build, Build program, and simply combating a poor life they do not even deserve in the first place.
Ako si Madeline, nagbuhat sa tribong Dumagat sa Quezon. Tumututol ako sa dam dahil ito ay malaki ang magiging pinsala sa aming mga katubo.
Ako si Miling, isang kaksaan ng Malatunglan, tribong Agta, Dumagat dito sa Quezon. Tumututol ako sa dam sapagkat ang dam ay sumisira sa buhay at ari-ari ang aming mga katutubo.
But for a sector in constant prejudice, plight, and pursuit, some initiatives stand tall and serve the IP's needs and visions to the best it can. Republic Act A371, known as the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, or the IPRA, was enacted in 1997 and has been praised for its support for the cultural integrity of IPs, the recognition of their own rights, and the rights to their land. However, the implementation of this law remains a serious problem, as there is no authority equipped with the mandate to fulfill the objectives of the IPRA. The State of the Indigenous Peoples Address, or SIPA, parallel to the State of the Nation Address of the President, is a national gathering of IPs aimed at presenting to the Filipino people their true state and plight, their issues and concerns, their aspirations and their struggles to protect and promote their rights as communities and as people. Organizations such as LILAC, in specific and purposive consideration of women's roles in addressing the key concerns of IPs, and in harnessing a safe space for women that also build their confidence and integral participation in different matters concerning them, recognizes the dire significance of women even in an already vulnerable sector and seeks their rightful validation on issues also concerning them. Aid from Department of Trade and Industry, the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, and the Department of Education.
Hearing all about these organized initiatives, collaborations, and even the smallest sense of human rights recognition for IPs sparks a persistent hope. To move forward, we still need to break the isolation, invisibility, and marginalization within our movements and state responses, seek accountability for state neglect, and create more spaces for mindful and proactive Indigenous, women-owned movements. It is important to distance these movements from generalization and homogenization, and that IPs locate an agency within themselves that will kickstart solidarity and action in struggle among regional and cultural differences. For an enraptured today is a warmer tomorrow for all, especially the IPs who are on their fear-fueled way to reclaim what has continuously been taken away from them.